What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it looks like we have a big week ahead of us with some other game events being announced, as well as a ton of big-time games being teased, and even some more insight as to what we can expect at Summer Game Fest. We're going to go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a canceled Switch release that randomly got revived yesterday, and we're also going to be talking about some more advancements that have been made when it comes to the Nintendo 64, specifically on the emulation side that's making some of these games almost unrecognizable. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with that Xbox Showcase. Remember, that's coming up this Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Microsoft did release like an entire page that goes over where you can watch it, what you can expect. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it does look like Microsoft is going to have an extended showcase as well. This just kind of being a stream that'll take place June 14th, 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern, where they say they'll share new trailers and take deeper looks at the news from Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase and speak with some of your favorite game creators. That's actually a good idea. That way you can at least keep that main showcase on Sunday moving along at a pretty good pace without feeling the need to focus in on any one game or gameplay session that you have. You can save it for this extended stream and, yes, even have sit-down interviews with some of the developers and creators of these games. So again, showcase on Sunday and then following up on the 14th with about another 90-minute showcase here with extended looks at some of the games. Also, we know that the Mario movie has been moved to 2023, but it appears Nintendo could have more plans for other movies with maybe some of their different intellectual properties like a Donkey Kong movie or what about Metroid. But there were some copyrights that were spotted. We can see this posted up by Nintendo Everything. So Nintendo has filed a pair of interesting copyrights ahead of next year's debut of the Mario movie, that being Nintendo Studios and M Brothers Productions. Trademarks, things that would pop up during the movie, of course, copyright stuff, all of this, right? But this could maybe play into the idea of them exploring other forms of media outside of just this Mario Bros. Movie. And I mean, it makes sense with what we see Nintendo doing with their theme parks they're opening, a lot of the merchandise, of course, and then this Mario movie. Maybe we could have an entire series where they partner with Amazon or Netflix and we get something from The Legend of Zelda, F-Zero, Metroid. I think F-Zero would be a really cool one to kind of have done with Amazon or Netflix or whoever, because Nintendo doesn't really seem that interested in creating another game since, well, according to some developers, different interviews, has to do with them unsure if they'd be able to make it that much different from what we have with something like Mario Kart. Like, does Nintendo need another racer? Maybe not. But could Nintendo use F-Zero in an entire like streaming series? I think that'd be kind of cool to see. Oh, and I like to point out some of these different sales to you guys from time to time, and there was one that popped up on Nintendo's sales page that I thought was kind of cool to bring up. Take a look at this. This is the Shantae 20th anniversary sale. It'll be going until the 16th of June, so you still have about 10 days or so to take a look at this. But I mean, all the different Shantae games are like 50% off. And if you've never played this series, it seems like a good time to get into it since, I mean, basically all of them are present here, at least a good chunk to take a look at. And the newest one is Shantae and the Seven Sirens, but you really can't go wrong with any of them, to be honest. You can even get the original one there, Shantae, $5. I mean, on the Game Boy Color, if you pick that one up, it's super expensive. But here you can pick one up for anywhere from $5 to $17 or $18 and check it out. I think it's a really cool series to get into. And again, a sale like this popping up around the anniversary might be a good one to look into. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Summer Game Fest. This, of course, being the big show that people are looking forward to here since it's coming up in a couple of days. Well, Jeff Keighley spent time in a Twitter space, as he tends to, and he gave us some more insight as to what we can expect here and had some mixed reactions online. Let's take a look at this over at VGC, who transcribed some of the conversation, saying, what I would say is that a lot of games we're going to show you are going to be already announced. Games are going to show new content to you, like some of the ones I've mentioned. We've got a couple of new game announcements in the show, and hopefully some surprises if everything holds, but it definitely is a show that's primarily focused on stuff that's announced. So we're doing some good stuff for you, but definitely manage your expectations in terms of the megaton shocks that you're expecting. This is not the Game Awards. We've got lots of good stuff to show you, but buyer beware of some of the crazy rumors I'm seeing out there in terms of things people expect to get announced. I mean, it's the internet. There's going to be crazy rumors all over the place, right? How many times are we going to guess Bloodborne for some of these different showcases? But with Jiff in particular, his job is to hype these shows up. And I don't know if he thought maybe went a little too far. Now we're so close and the tickets for IMAX are sold already. It's like, well, let's relax a little bit here. I mean, there's no E3. Everyone's looking to the next big showcase, and this is coming up in a couple of days. So yes, hype levels are going to continue to rise until we get to the show, and then I'm sure there'll be many people disappointed online because some big thing wasn't there, right? But he does say there's going to be many games that we already know about, but we need more information on. And I started thinking about it, made kind of a list we can talk about here. Like, for example, Jeff did mention Gotham Knights. That's something that we're going to see again here. We already know the release date and all of this, but just, I guess more gameplay will be good to see. Callisto Protocol, we had a quick look at it during Sony State of Play, but Jeff did mention there will be just an extended gameplay session here. So again, I'm very interested in this one. Looks very Dead Space-esque as we would expect, so that'd be kind of cool. Cuphead DLC will be showcased, as he had mentioned, and there will be a level playthrough for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. That'll be the first time we actually see it in action and be part of the Summer Games Fest. So those are things that Jeff himself has confirmed to be here. Now, if we go into speculation territory, it's possible God of War. I mean, we still need a release date for it. We're into June now. If Sony's going to launch this thing, say, in September or October, might want to get the ball rolling on the release date, the marketing, all of this. Hollow Knight Silksong. This one is interesting because it was brought up, Team Cherry, by Jeff Keighley, and then like one of the PR managers for Team Cherry and Hollow Knight Silksong came in and said that they love the tease. I mean, sure, Silksong would be a cool game to see here. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Well, again, we need a release date for it. Ubisoft could be a part of this show with Jeff Keighley, and we already know about the game. We just need to know when it's coming out. And I guess they could do gameplay and all of this. Skate, the newest one, Skate 4, that would be a good game to have showcased here. Marvel Midnight Suns, we've had a release date teased here and there, and I think even leaked, so we just need to see the game itself once again, since they had delayed it to work on it and then give us that release date. Avowed, I do think Avowed would end up being at the Xbox Showcase, but Xbox is going to be part of this Summer Game Fest, according to Jeff and the different brands that are taking part in it. So maybe they just throw one of these titles like Avowed in. Pragmata, we already know about, and Exo Primal as well, those from Capcom. So maybe we have either one of those have just an extended gameplay session from Capcom here. And then why not? We'll throw GTA 6 in there for fun. I also had considered Sonic Frontiers because we need a release date for it. It's supposed to be coming out this holiday. I don't know if that's still happening because it could get delayed after the reception that we've seen so far. But there's a Sonic event today. Like, you can see this banner here. Sonic Central, June 7th, 2022, 9 a.m. Pacific time or noon Eastern. They say tune in for a sneak peek at some of our upcoming projects, partnerships, and events happening in 2022. I mean, this is hopefully where Sonic Mania 2 gets announced and saves everything. I don't know. I mean, Sonic Frontiers may get its release date here. We're supposed to see impressions from IGN go up actually at the same time as this Sonic Central presentation. So maybe Frontiers gets its release date there and more gameplay. We'll see. But yeah, things are starting to pick up here this week. A lot of excitement. So we'll head into that Sonic Central event today and then Summer Games Fest on Thursday. Next up, let's talk about a canceled Switch release that appears to be getting revived. Now, when all of this went down with Doom Eternal a while ago, we thought the game itself was just getting canceled for the Switch, to the point where like we had to have, I think someone from Bethesda or Nintendo come out and say, no, the game is still happening. The physical version has been canceled, and that's why GameStop and other retail locations are starting to pull it off of their website. It ended up being a digital-only release, which is kind of disappointing since Doom 2016 is a physical cartridge, and in fact, the part of it that was digital, which was very smart, was the multiplayer, which was online anyway. So yeah, you would have to go online and download that portion to use it. Well, now it looks like Doom Eternal is indeed releasing physically for the Switch. Take a look at this here. This is from Limited Run Games. The only thing they fear is you. Doom Eternal comes to Switch physical this July. It looks like they have a standard, a steelbook, a special, and ultimate editions, all kinds of stuff going on there. They have that marked for July 8th. And Limited Run had an entire event where, according to them, they unveiled 33 new physical releases during their summer showcase. And I'm looking up and down this list, and some of this is extremely obscure stuff that I legitimately have to ask who was asking for this, but hey, it's fun at least for Limited Run to do some of this stuff. I'll leave a link to their overall blog with all the announcements from their showcase, but like you can see, A Boy and His Blob Retro Collection, that's kind of cool to see that one there. Bill and Ted's Excellent Retro Collection. Again, I don't know who was asking for that one. Blossom Tales 2 on the Switch, that's a cool one to see there, right? D for the 3DO, again, I don't know who's asking for it, but it's pretty cool that D is getting a release for 3DO. Doom 64 on the Xbox. There's Doom Eternal on the Switch there. We have Enclave, Frogun, Garden Story, Glover on the Nintendo 64. I guess it's just going to be an actual cartridge that you can buy. Night Trap, Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, Definitive Edition, Power Slave, Rendering Ranger R2, River City Girls 2, Shadowrun Trilogy, Scale Attack, Spider Soars, Tetris Effect Connected, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, A Shredder's Revenge. That apparently is coming with a coupon for a free pizza from Pizza Hut, so we'll see how that turns out. And then Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2 for the Switch and PC. But I'll admit, I did not see that coming. Doom Eternal, something that we were questioning its existence at one point because it looked like it was getting outright canceled. Now coming all the way back here in 2022, getting that physical release for collectors. And I might actually have to pick that one up because there's an entire story now behind it. To have that in your collection would be pretty cool. Next up, let's talk about Avowed. This is a game most of us expect to see either at Summer Game Fest or more than likely at the Xbox Showcase, where they are looking to show off gameplay for several of the titles apparently that have been submitted to this showcase. Well, we got some odd information that the internet was trying to process here, specifically guns in Avowed. Yeah, seriously, this was part of the Defining Duke podcast with Jez Corridon and Randall Thor, and they talked about how apparently some gameplay that was being shown like behind closed doors had guns in it. And the reason this was throwing people off is because obviously the way Avowed has been presented in its one trailer is that it was all medieval combat, swords, shields, magic, they had flaming arrows and all this, right? But some people did point out that this is supposed to be in the same universe as Pillars of Eternity, another Obsidian game, and it's more or less now trying to figure out what time period it's set in. It could be in the same universe, but it could be further into the past, so they wouldn't have guns. But if it's closer to when Pillars of Eternity would have taken place, yeah, as weird as it may seem now, seeing that first gameplay or that first trailer, the gameplay that could be shown with a gun would actually make some sense. And I'll admit, I'm not a big fan of Pillars of Eternity, so when I heard there were guns in Avowed, it threw me off a little bit there, but then realizing that there were guns in Pillars of Eternity, and maybe they want to just keep everything intact when it comes to the universe and the lore that they have, and the timeline matches up well enough, it would probably make sense. Really, we just need to see the gameplay and these guns in action, because I think people were picturing different kinds of guns that would probably be in it. It'll probably be more primitive, pistols or something there. It's not going to be Skyrim with an AK-47 or something like that. So here's hoping we see Avowed completely in full gameplay and everything at this Xbox showcase, or who knows, maybe during that extended showcase a few days later. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the Nintendo 64, specifically advancements that are being made on the emulation side, which is something that even Nintendo is taking advantage of now with the N64 expansion pack. Some of those games have cleaned up pretty well for Nintendo on the Switch, but now we're seeing things pushed a bit further. Take a look at this over on Twitter. This from Dario saying, "I'd like to reveal that RT64, the path tracer behind SM64 RT, is evolving into an N64 emulator plugin." So we've seen some really cool footage of Super Mario 64 with ray tracing, and it's almost unrecognizable from what we played back in the 90s. I mean, it's impressive looking stuff. But now it's going to become kind of a plugin, they say, for the N64 emulator, saying here's a small reel of footage I've captured from games that are already showing results. Ray trace lighting, object motion blur, widescreen, DLSS, and 60 plus FPS. Now, according to Dario, this isn't going to be available anytime soon. There's still a ton of issues they have to solve and apparently more features they'd like to add. And currently, it's a very limited lineup of games from the Nintendo 64 library. And it looks like they're also working to make it so that games that don't normally support anything above like 30 FPS, for example, would be able to with like a 60 FPS patch. We have some screenshots here that you can take a look at that Nintendo Life post up. This is just impressive stuff to see. I mean, if you plug in a Nintendo 64 now to your TV, it doesn't look great through those composite cables, but with emulators, we've seen them clean up pretty well, and then we've seen different mods and assets being added in, and now we're to the point where these games are looking like outright impressive at times. So it sounds like this is going to be something we won't see actually released for quite some time, but certainly worth keeping your eye on here to see what they're able to do with all these advancements like ray tracing with the Nintendo 64. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked who announces this GoldenEye release. 43% said Xbox, 21% said Nintendo, and then 36% said no one. It's not coming out. Microsoft decided to put those achievements live for no reason, I guess, on their website. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards Xbox as well, mostly because I think they will have the big version of the game to advertise, that being that like remaster remake where you switch between the visuals on the fly. Although I think a big twist would be Nintendo doesn't have like the N64 version necessarily to drop into the N64 expansion pack. They just have the same version and it just drops on the Switch. Remember, that ran on the 360. So yeah, you could drop it on the Switch, and I kind of prefer that, actually. I know it'd be cool to have the original one on the Nintendo 64 expansion pack, but that's going to be limited to the fact that it'd still be broken into screens and you'd be doing screen looking online, which is still a weird concept to wrap your head around. I think I'd prefer to have the one with all the bells and whistles and the advanced online lobbies and all these things that appeared like were set up in this remaster remake that had been almost released back on the Xbox 360. But here's hoping this Sunday we'll actually see what they have for us. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Blade Shadowwing saying, I think instead of delaying Sonic Frontiers outright, they need to release a demo first and have fans send feedback. Seeing gameplay and playing it for yourself are two different things after all. Yeah, there were some questionable moments during the gameplay sessions that they had there. And the IGN first video was kind of weird. Even though it said it was 4K, it still looked kind of blurry and pixelated at times. I just think it would be best to get some slice of the game in front of us so we can play it. Some people try to break it, and then, of course, send feedback to Sega, which will in turn probably make them delay the game. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below. But everything we talked about here today was Doom Eternal getting revived physically for the Switch. Are you picking this one up? And then also, what about all the hype and anticipation leading into Summer Game Fest and even Sonic Central later today? Give me your best predictions as to what we're going to see at these shows. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.